We are IT Real Simple. We are located in Calgary, Alberta. We provide IT services for businesses across Canada. Our mission is to simplify technology for businesses. So there are multiple ways to solve problems, but with an expert, it can save a lot of time and resources, especially in IT. So Brittany and I are co-founders of IT Real Simple, and we provide advice based on our team's combined knowledge, expertise, years of experience. We grew up with technology, so it's not something we're afraid of, and we're very comfortable with it. IT Real Simple has created specific packages that help businesses overcome common IT issues. What I'm going to show you is our advice on how to mitigate some of these issues or to prevent them from happening in your environment. I like this presentation to be as interactive as possible. So Jason from our senior technical team is online as well, and he'll be helping us answer questions on the spot in the chat. So feel free to ask your questions and leave comments in the chat as we go through the presentation, as he will be answering them as we go. So the idea of this presentation is not to frighten you, but to inform you and keep you aware about the technological issues that do exist. Our mission at the end of this presentation is to help you understand how to spot email scams, knowledge about ransomware and its impact, awareness about VPN services and what they offer, and how to password protect your documents before sending them. So before we get started, I want to cover some basic terminologies. The term cloud refers to online software or services that run on the internet, rather than on your computer or server at the office. So some examples of these are VPN services, Office 365, Google Drive, Netflix, iCloud, even Zoom, what we're using right now. So all of those are examples of cloud services. Disaster recovery. So disaster recovery is a recovery plan for technology, ensuring your business continuity when a natural or human-induced disaster happens. So an example of this is when you have a data loss due to unauthorized access, you have a plan of action to retain your data back and continue business operations. So systems that could help mitigate these are online file backups, email backups, and a recovery plan. Bitcoin is a type of digital currency, or what some people call cryptocurrency. It operates independently of a central bank, and all transactions are verified and recorded on a public distributed ledger called a blockchain. So this currency is widely being used right now for ransomware attackers because transactions can easily be covered up and made untraceable. We'll get into more details of where these terms come in our presentation later on. So how to spot a phishing email. So we know that you guys as mortgage brokers, you are using emails as your almost as your number one main type of communication. So having knowledge in spotting phishing email is very important. So phishing emails are emails that are sent by scammers trying to pretend to be someone else with the intention of stealing your personal information. So from passwords to bank account information to gaining access to your computer. 54% of email scams target small businesses. It happens to everyone. These are generated by robots and are sent on a massive scale. We'll cover some of the ways that you can spot these on our next slide. So there are 4 quick spot checks that you can do. Is the message written in English? Does the email contain translations of multiple languages? So phishing emails include content in multiple languages to ensure that their attack works on a global scale. So spotting spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes are really good clues in identifying if it's a scam, if you're unsure if the email is correct or not. So Also, how does the email address look, address your name? So does it use the general term "dear customer" or to your email address and not your specific name with your last name or things like that? So you can quickly spot if this field is generic and randomly picked up from a website or from your email. So we can see here in my example that in this email example here, it's actually showing hi, info@itrealsimple.com. So I can tell that this email doesn't really know who I am. It's really just picking up my email address and addressing me as my email address. So that's a red flag to me, and I would look more closely into the next item. So is the email address domain correct? So does it have spelling mistakes? So oftentimes we're seeing Netflix, if they're using a Netflix domain, they're spelling it with 2 I's instead of with L-I. So scammers are often using a domain that may look similar at first glance, but with a closer look, you can tell that it's spelled different. So again, in my example here, I can see that the email address is using .online and not .ca or .com. So that's suspicious to me. And when I see these things, I usually red flag it in my mind and say, hey, like I should really see if I should be downloading documents or clicking on links. So yeah, that brings us to the next point. So before clicking on a link, we should first check to see if the URL is going to where it says. Often, it doesn't direct you to the proper company website. Instead, a fake website with copies of the real site's logo. So you do not have to click on it to find out. You can just hover your mouse over it and Google search if that link is a real site. So in my example here, again, this one is saying avast.com, but you can see once I hover my mouse over it, it's actually linking me to a different site, not just their main site. So this is a really good indication of if I should click on this link or if I should dig more deeper into see if this link is real or not. So email address and link identification is 2 of the best ways to spot a scam. And attachments should not be downloaded unless you're certain about the sender, because viruses can hide within Excel sheet, PDFs, and many other formats. And that brings us to the next topic of ransomware. So ransomware is one of the biggest threats to businesses right now. 30% of companies using Symantec were at risk of ransomware due to an old operating system. I'm not sure if many of you know, but Windows 7 is actually out of support recently. I would recommend upgrading your system if you're still running Windows 7. The next generation to that is Windows 10. So I highly recommend doing that as there's security updates for that. So yeah, without proper security measures, when a business is targeted, the only way to retrieve your data is to pay the attacker with cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. However, there isn't a guarantee after you paid them that you'll get your data back. So it's always best to keep your data protected from these cyber attacks. We find this to be especially important for a mortgage broker, as your data is usually stored in one location or on your laptop. What could happen? So your systems becomes permanently locked, and you cannot access any of your documents on your computer or on your server until you pay the ransomer, the amount that they requested. So why does it happen though? So the attacker is trying to make a quick buck, and they're attacking any systems that are vulnerable on the internet. So really, they're just scanning the entire network, finding whatever system's vulnerable, and if they find one, they will attack those systems. And who does it happen to? So yeah, people that are running older operating systems, computers that are not up to date, or computers that don't have antivirus, malware protection, even employees that are not trained on technology threats, such as phishing emails, what we discussed earlier. So how do we prevent this from happening to us? So updating your password on a regular basis and a timely basis to avoid, and also avoiding using the same password for multiple platforms. That would really help in making sure that you are using different passwords for your systems, and they won't be able to hack one and be able to access everything you have. So yeah, avoid saving your passwords in an Excel sheet. I know we're all guilty of that for some of us, but yeah, try to avoid that and use other methods in saving your passwords. So when the software or application you rely on for your business are in need of an update, we recommend installing these updates because many of them actually include security enhancements and bug fixes that could help you defend from cyber attacks. While their main objective is to avoid cyber hacking, if your business does become a target, it's important to always have a backup of all your files secure. You can use cloud sharing or an external hard drive to do this. Better yet, you should have both. We believe in having a proper backup system is one of the most important ways you can protect yourself from cyber breaches. Trust us, it will save you many headaches with an automated system. This is why a disaster recovery plan is handy. You simply follow the plan that you've already come up with and established and recover your data and you're back in business. So train yourself and your staff about technology threats, teach them about email phishing scams, double check attachments before downloading them, and also double check the links that you're clicking on, even on websites, not even just emails. So that brings us to the next topic. What is VPN? So VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. So what does VPN do? What VPN is, it essentially replaces your local IP address and assumes a new one. So it replaces your local IP address and you can assume a new IP. So as soon as you connect to a VPN server, all your network traffic becomes encrypted and anonymous so that your internet service provider can't see what you're doing. Therefore, you're able to browse without having to worry about your information being logged, recorded, or used for advertisement purposes. So aside from the privacy that you get from VPN, it also comes with a host of other benefits. For instance, if you're traveling or using a public Wi-Fi hotspot, a VPN can instantly secure your connection. This is great for mortgage brokers because we understand you are often going to a coffee shop to work, or you're traveling aboard, you're using the hotel's internet Wi-Fi. So with all the dangers surrounding unsecured public Wi-Fi networks, having the ability to instantly secure your connection is priceless. So which VPN provider do you use? How do you choose between them all? It really depends on your need and what you're looking for. There are a few different versions of it, but I'll cover the basics. So there are ones that are free. They're common on the internet that you can search up free VPN service and use it. However, we don't recommend this because it's basically the same as connecting to an open coffee shop Wi-Fi, but it's on the web. Everyone is connecting using the same VPN service. You really are looking for privacy. So I would suggest paying for a service that you really do trust. Corporate versions of corporate VPN. So what that is a connection can be made to run on a server in the office. So this allows you to run your computer and connect it to work to access your files at work, or even connect to a remote desktop that's located at the office. So it's exactly like if you were working in the office, but you're just connecting your computer to the network that's at the office. So we recommend this for a larger group of users in the same company that require working remotely. So you can access files and simultaneously work on things together on the same network. So VPN service providers will show you their bandwidth capacity. So this term is important when using a VPN service because it requires your computer to connect to a separate network before using the internet. So what bandwidth is, it is the limitation of speed that it may have, or only allows you to download or upload a certain amount of data before you reach that bandwidth threshold. So make sure you check the bandwidth when you're considering a VPN service. Make sure they're good and you have Canada connections so that you don't get any poor connection speeds, and it'll just really limit your efficiency at working. Another thing is logs. So VPN service providers will let you know if they keep logs. So if it's a file that, if they do keep logs, what it means is that they're recording all of your traffic and connections, meaning your somewhat private connections are not so private anymore, because they are, in their policy, they might write that they can actually share this information to others. It could be marketers, it could be other usage that you might not want them to have. So checking to see if they're keeping logs is an important factor as well. All right, so that brings us to the next point, password protecting your document. So we understand that mortgage brokers are sending files back and forth daily. So having a way to encrypt your document is important. And we want to show you how you can easily protect your files before sending them via email or uploading them online. So as mentioned previously, the internet can be unsafe. So having more protection is always better. Emails can be intercepted and files can be stolen within an email, especially if you're not using a VPN service, because really everyone's connecting on the same network. And if that network is shared, I can see all of your traffic as well. So everyone should do this if the document is confidential or contains information you don't want others to know. So Microsoft Office actually has a built-in feature that provides you the ability to encrypt your Office documents. This is recommended when sending confidential information via email. It is just an added protection for your clients. So right here, we can see that if this is just a screenshot from my Microsoft Word here. If you click File, go to Info, and Protect Document, you can actually encrypt your document with a password. So what that does is, in order for someone to open that document, they need to have a password first before they can see the information inside. So what if you had multiple files that you wanted to share to a client? So 7-Zip is a free program that you can download, and it allows you to set up a password for multiple files at once. So it puts it into a .zip file type, which is built into Microsoft. The client themselves don't need to download any additional software. They'll be able to open these files and just enter the password and be able to access all of the files that you send them. So that's what you see here. So this is the 7-Zip free software. You can enter a password in as you zip the files together. So it's a great way if you're sending multiple documents at once and you just want to send it with one password. And I also recommend not sending the password within the same email. You can choose to call, text them, or even just sending them a separate email rather than the same email with the attachment and everything. So another great option is using OneDrive. This one is the one I highly recommend because it integrates really great with Microsoft Word and Excel. It's great if you're sharing the file to specific people and multiple people, or if you just want to send them a link that they can just download the file. You can easily set passwords and permissions for OneDrive. So I will show you more of that in my next slide here. So let me just show you guys an example of what it looks like. Nancy, are we still good on time? Yeah, okay, it's 2. Yeah, we're still good.
We have a couple of minutes. That's fine.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to show everyone the Microsoft Word Password Protect and how that works. So when you have your Word document here, you simply just click File, go to Info, and Protect Document, and you click this encrypt with password. So when you click that, you can easily set your own password. So for this, I'll put test, and it will make sure that you entered the right password. So enter it again, and now you'll see that the document is protected and it requires a password to be opened. So I'll just go ahead and save this and try to open that document again. So if I try to open it, it will prompt this for me and whoever I'm sending this to, and I would have to enter the password before I see the information inside. So this is a great way if you guys just want a simple way of encrypting and making sure your files are safe. The 7-zip that I was talking about is if I have 3 different Word documents or more, I want to make this password protected. I would just download the 7-zip program, go to the 7-zip, and I would hit add to archive. And this screen will pop up for me and telling me to enter a password before the client can open it. So what will happen is it will zip all of the files together and it will create one document that I can send. And what happens is if the client tries to open it, they'll be prompted to enter a password before they can actually unlock this file. So this is a great feature if you're sending multiple files. And lastly, OneDrive. So let me just quickly show you this. I'm just going to upload a document in here. So I'll upload into OneDrive. OneDrive is great. I can just click and drag my files over, and that will upload it into OneDrive for me. Once it's in here, I can just hit the share button using the 3 dots. Oops. And it will allow me to hit who I want to share to. So specific people, or do I want to send them a specific link with a password? What's the expiration? They only have 1 week to access this file. Do I allow them to edit it? So many features are great in OneDrive, and it's a really great platform for everyone to use. I highly recommend this. If you're already using Office 365, you're already paying for the service. So highly recommend you using this more often if you need to send confidential information. So yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope everyone enjoyed and had a deeper understanding of security and how you can easily add additional encryption into your documents before sending them. Feel free to contact us. We love feedback and inspiration to improve our business.
That's great, Jackie. Thank you very much. Very informative presentation. I know I had a couple of takeaways, in particular the encryption piece, because I'm always looking for ways to simplify, and I didn't realize you can actually do multiple documents at once. Lots of questions from the chat board, although they have been answered online, just to cover off some of them. When identifying a phishing email and the address is blocked, you may still continue to receive the emails, but they're going to go into your junk folder, because if you've accidentally flagged something incorrectly, they'll show there. As well, we had the question in regards to password programs like LastPass safe to use. Are they safe to use? And yes, that's a suggested one, and random passwords are created. And as for bandwidth, there was bandwidth of at least 5 megabytes down would be generally a minimum speed for most users. And the question was asked for PDF files. So if we can maybe get a little bit more clarification around that. I'm not sure if you're talking about the encryption piece. We'd be happy to answer that as well for you. And then another question that just came in is, do you like NordVPN?
I see. Okay. So yeah, PDF. So Adobe does provide a password protection as well. It is already built in, so it does work for PDF files. NordVPN, I don't have experience with it myself, so I can't comment on it. But yeah, following the guidelines that I provided, if checking the bandwidth that they offer, the logs that they offer, and what countries they offer their VPN service in, would really help you understand how far they go with making sure your connection is secure. So yeah.
Sounds fantastic. And at this point in time, our chat board is fairly clear. So once again, I'd like to thank you for your time, for joining us today. It was a very valuable presentation, lots of tips and tricks that we can take away. Just for the participants that are on the session, coming up next on the main webcasting portal, at 2:15, we will hear from two government representatives to provide us with an update on RICA that was announced last week. Mary Swaffold, who is the AMBA Executive Director, along with Ryan Spence, the AMBA President of the Board of Directors, will be facilitating that session. And if you would like to join the Virtual Development Summit at 2:15, we will hear from Service Alberta, who will be outlining key changes to the Real Estate Act and the governance of RICA, followed by a Q&A session. I know I'm interested in hearing how those changes may affect the brokerages as well as fellow mortgage professionals. And then at 3 o'clock, Alfredo Tan, Chief Digital and Innovation Officer for WestJet Airlines, will be joining us to share the values your company needs to embody if it truly wants to embrace change for the future and stay ahead of the curve. We've heard from many members that his talks are not one to be missed. So if you find yourself disconnected from any of the event platforms after the break, please rejoin the sessions just by clicking on the event link from today's email from AMBA. And to ensure you all have access to the cocktail networking event at 4 o'clock, please minimize your Zoom screens without exiting, and then rejoin us for that as well, and join us for the updates. So thank you again, Jackie. Thank you again, Steve, for sponsoring and being with us today. And I will end this session now. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks so much, Nancy.
Thank you.